Hey, everybody, welcome to the Wednesday, the Hump Day edition of Winners and Whiners Radio. I am your host, Scott Steehn. I am the lead handicapper at winnersandwhiners.com.
And I'm your co-host, Scott Reichel, senior handicapper over winnersandwhiners.com.
You need a better cue, buddy?
No, I think it might have glitched out for a second, but I thought I made the cue pretty well.
I thought that was you glitching out.
I'm not even sure anymore.
Okay, good enough. Hey, together we are Winners and Whiners Radio. Give us an hour. We'll give you the winners. Scott, we have got a chock full show here today. We're going to talk, of course, as we always do, about some baseball, touch base, the NFL, training camp updates, things like that. We're going to start our first of 8 straight days of college football previews. We're going to be tackling, see what I did there, the MAC and Conference USA today. So, yeah, a couple of exciting conferences that we're going to get to and just dive right into that. So how'd your day go, Scott?
Overall, went well. I know that I had a couple of thoughts on the Brewers game, which we'll get into in a bit. I know that you were also on the same page on that one. Ended up winning with the Braves under, which worked out well. My boy Yanoa looked pretty good in that one. And as a whole, yeah, pretty good day. How about you?
Yeah, solid. Toronto kind of let us down, and Manoah was not good, man. He had his worst start of the season. Tried to make a little rally there against Washington, ended up going down 8-6. But, Scott, first rule of holes, you got to stop digging. And they didn't do that. They gave up 4 runs to the Nats, and that was pretty much all she wrote. Of course, we did kind of have a bounce back, like you said, with the under there in the NL Central battle. And, of course, our old faithful this week, whoever's playing the Baltimore Orioles, that one worked out well for us as well. But, Scott, it didn't go as well for some folks yesterday. Not everyone had a fantastic day. In fact, there were some people that maybe felt they got a little bit ripped off, Scott. And there's only one thing you can do when you feel like you get ripped off, and maybe that's call those cops. All right, starting in the major leagues, if you had the Angels Tigers under 9, you were looking really good. You had 4 runs going into the 9th inning. Something. As long as it doesn't go to extras, we should be fine. You start putting those guys on second base, everything goes nuts. As long as we can end this game in 9, you're probably golden right there. Ooh, Scott, was it Buck Farmer? Did Buck Farmer come in?
I honestly don't know, but I'm going to check that. You can finish your point.
Whoever was the stellar, and there was probably more than one that they trotted out in the clown car out of the Detroit bullpen. They did not do well. They gave up 6 runs to the Angels in the top of the 9th. That game ended up 8-2. Didn't go to extras. No heroics in the bottom of the 9th. But if you had the Angels Tigers under 9, call the cops.
By the way, I looked it up. It was not Farmer. He did not pitch. It was actually Soto, the all-star. 2/3 of an inning, 5 earned runs.
Wow. And you want to be my latex salesman.
Yep. But anyway, looking at the second call the cops, it was actually my play of the day, but I was on the right side of it. If you had the Brewers-Cardinals score in the first inning, the Brewers ended up having a single with first and second, so you assume that's going to be a run right there. Not quite. Tyler O'Neill threw him out at the plate. Brewers stranded, the bases loaded. Then the Cardinals had a guy on second base with 2 outs, and O'Neill, the guy who threw out the guy from Milwaukee, did us another solid, and he struck out. So he really single-handedly carried that no-score first inning bet for me. But if you had the score first inning, that's a pretty tough beat.
Cash those NRFI tickets, Scotty. Never a doubt. And we'll finish it up with the Rangers taking on the Mariners. If you had the Rangers plus 1.5 there, you're in pretty good shape. Tailing 1.5. Excuse me, you're tailing 2-1 going into the top of the 9th. Just no heroics. 2 outs, you're good. No hero. Oh, Scott, there were heroics. Mariners hit a solo home run. No reason for that. That's just adding insult to injury. They end up losing 3-1. Rangers, no more runs for them. You had the Rangers plus 1.5 on the reverse run line. Call the cops.
I respect your bravery.
Absolutely. Not quite as brave as playing them on the money line, but still pretty daggone brave. And of course, there is the opposite side of the coin for those of you that maybe needed a little rally. Maybe you had one of those tough games early. You needed a nice, easy game to finish your day. And there was definitely a few of those, Scott. There was a whole bunch of people today sitting in the rocking chair.
So the first one involved the Tampa Bay Rays, and as I look at the sheet, I realize they might not have been fully updated. Tampa Bay ended up leading 3-0 after the fourth inning, led 8-0 after the fifth inning, led 10-0 after the sixth inning, and that was where the game ended. So if you had the Rays on the run line, you ended up having a nice easy winner because of the fact that you ended up having one team score a bunch of runs, your team, and yet at the same point, you had no runs for the Orioles. And that kind of just sums up the Orioles for the last 2 weeks, doesn't it?
It really does. That is, we've seen some horrific stretches, Scott. We've seen the 23 games in a row lost by the Arizona Diamondbacks. We have seen the Texas Rangers play a horrific stretch of road games. But the nice thing about Baltimore, it doesn't matter where they are. They are just getting brutalized. So, yeah, not good at all. But moving on, if you had the under in the Marlins game, as so often happens, yeah, you had a nice, easy win. The Braves Marlins under 7.5. You already mentioned it. Your buddy Huascar was dealing. You know him, you love him. He was doing very, very well, Scott. It was a nutting. It was nils after 7. Somebody had to win, and the Braves ended up being that somebody as they take care of business 2-0. But if you had the under 7.5, no sweat for you whatsoever. You can cash that ticket and just sit right back in the rocking chair.
And the last one was a bit surprising because it was a pitcher's duel involving the Cubs and the Reds. That's right. We mentioned in yesterday's show that Kyle Hendricks had been the only good pitcher on the Cubs, and he was really good once again because the Cubs won 2-1. You had 1 run in the third, then the Cubs scored a second run in the sixth. The Reds answered with 1 run in the sixth, and that was it. Total was 9.5. You had 3 combined runs. That's pretty easy, isn't it?
It really is. It really is. Very nicely done. Well, Scott, this next gentleman, we probably remember him for some of his pitching exploits. Pretty good pitcher, big time World Series performance. But in the booth, well, he had a rough day yesterday, Scott. This was one of those ones where we really didn't have to discuss it long. As soon as we found this one, we knew who it was. We're going to find out who's strapping on that golden feed bag today. Scott, it is once again time for our donkey of the day. Wait for the shake. All right, very good. Scott, you can share this story.
So, the person you were alluding to, a World Series legend, Jack Morris, is also a Detroit Tigers broadcaster. And the Tigers, of course, were playing the Angels. We talked about that in the Call the Cops segment. And in the ninth inning, somebody who was supposed to come up to bat was Shohei Ohtani. And one thing you might know about Shohei Ohtani is the fact that he's not American. He is from Japan.
Oh.
And the reason why that is important is because Jack Morris, believe it or not, not from Japan, decided to end up attempting a Japanese accent for no apparent reason, to, I guess, show that Ohtani was going to come to the plate. And I guess my question for you, before we get into the grand scheme of this, the actual impression itself was awful, but had it actually been a good impression, what does that even accomplish in this situation?
Nothing good. Absolutely nothing good. I can't imagine someone with the experience of Jack Morris behind and I know he's been I think he's the radio color guy.
I think he's the television guy.
Because I know Kirk Gibson is on the TV broadcast. We see him a lot. So,
I'm not sure if they maybe
had,
they might have had alternative crews, for some of the games. I know the Yankees do that. You rotate in and out. but I'm pretty sure it was the TV broadcast.
All right, well, good enough. It was a terrible accent. Even if it was, like you said, if it's a good, I don't really know what you're going for. You're not going for anything good. It's not horrific that it's going to end his career or anything. And like you said, he did immediately apologize when they came back from commercial break. I'm sure someone in the booth, someone in the truck was in his ear as soon as that happened. I just, Scott, it's culture has changed. Used to be, they would put oafish characters from different countries and cultures on TV, and it was just that was the way things were. But people have kind of wisened up. We've talked about how those are actually insulting, and we've kind of become better as a culture and as a people. And I'm not sure everybody's caught the train yet, Scott. That's all I'm saying. So, Jack Morris, congratulations, my friend. You can go 10 in the World Series, but you got to watch the accents because you are the donkey of the day.
I don't know if he's going to get fired. Odds to get suspended minus 5,000, 7,000.
Oh, you think? Yeah, a couple, 3 games.
Temporary leave. Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah. I don't think he's not gonna have to go to rehab or anything. That's when you know it's bad. I'm sorry, I was drunk. I got to go to rehab.
Mm-hmm. But hey, not a good day for him.
Not a good day for Jack at all. Speaking of drunk, Scott, I feel like we're gonna have to retire this award.
We might have to, honestly, but we keep talking about it and it keeps winning.
Well, the thing is, we did it yesterday, and it was even more outrageous today. So we have to do it. I mean, we've pretty much painted ourselves into the corner, and now we have to do it again. We have to talk about the odds from the Tuesday night game. They were even more ridiculous than the odds from the Monday night game. You may have guessed what we're talking about, but just in case you haven't, here it is. It's our favorite segment, the odds makers. They must be drunk. Scott, yesterday we revealed the fact that we thought the Tampa Bay Rays were perhaps a little underpriced as they played a Baltimore team that hasn't been going the best for them lately. Is that a fair statement?
It's one of the worst stretches I've ever seen from a baseball team, but yes.
So on Monday, refresh me, Scott, how did that go? I believe 9-2 was the final.
Yes. From what I remember was that Boston won over the weekend 6-2. Then Tampa won the first game of the series 9-2.
Right.
And then you had the game that was yesterday.
Correct. So the odds makers, you think surely by now they've adjusted. They're going to adjust that. So, Scott, we open up this game. It is the Tampa Bay Rays on the run line, -1.5, plus 105. Plus 105. That's right. The Rays on the run line, plus money. Now, it didn't stay there. It finished. Where did it finish up?
I want to say 115, 120 maybe.
I was going to say -115, 120. I think that's exactly right. So, obviously, a lot of people knew the odds makers were drunk, and they were extremely drunk because how'd that game end up?
Well, the Rays got off to a bit of a slow start against John Means. The only problem with that is that they didn't score, and Tampa eventually woke up. Tampa won 10-0.
Easy money. Just incredible. The Rays, the Rays are playing good ball, but the Baltimore Orioles are playing so bad. Here's the updated numbers, Scott. They have now lost by a combined score of they've lost 13 straight. They've lost by 100. They've lost 123-36. That is, you're scoring at home. That is 9.4 runs per game for their opponents. 2.7 runs per game for the Orioles. They have lost their last 13 by an average of 6.7 runs per game. I don't know that I've ever seen anything like that, Scott.
Also losing 13 straight games on the run line.
Yes.
Not good. I know we talked about the Diamondbacks losing a bunch of games outright on the road. We mentioned
same thing with the run line. Yeah.
Texas on the run line right out of the All-Star break on the road. This doesn't even matter if they're at home or on the road. They're just bad.
Yeah, they're just awful wherever you put them. You could put them on the sand lot and they're going to lose by 6. So odds makers, get it together. You got one more opportunity. Let's see what you do. course, I want to remind you guys that you are listening to Winners and Winers Radio. Give us an hour, and we'll give you the winners. All right, Scott, a little news from National Football League camp. Tebow's gone. Are you surprised?
Shocked. Can't believe it.
That was some world-class whiffs that they had circulating around there.
You couldn't have given him a shovel pass or something? Could you have given him maybe the illusion of a reception?
Nothing.
Groove him one. Give him a shovel pass. Give him something.
He was sort of targeted once. He was kind of in the area where they completed a pass. I don't know if he probably didn't run the route correctly, because it looked like the wide receiver coming across the middle was the guy actually running the route correctly. But
have you ever played Madden before?
I have, yes.
So there's a career mode, and you can pick a wide receiver.
Uh-huh.
And let's just say that people who pick wide receivers take the suggested routes as suggestions, and they kind of roam free and just call for the ball whenever they can.
Okay.
It looked like Tebow was supposed to run some type of slant and decided to just run a go pattern instead and just said, throw me the ball. And they just didn't throw him the ball.
Is he going to catch on anywhere?
No. I think he'll catch on in the booth.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, I can't imagine. He's 34, and I don't know if he's going to try to come back next year as a safety, or if he is, he's going to have to go some to catch up with Jamal Adams. God, Jamal Adams signed a new deal today. Huge, makes him the highest paid safety in the National Football League. Is he worth it?
It's really a tough way to answer that, because I don't think he's worth the contract by itself. Having said that, Seattle's in the same position that the Clippers were when Paul George was supposed to be a free agent, which is, even if he's not worth the amount of money that you're going to pay him, you traded a king's ransom to get him. You can't lose him for nothing.
Right.
They had to give him the contract, whether or not you think it's bad business or not. I think we would agree the Jets actually won a trade, which is the crazier part of this development, because the Jets never win trades. And I think we would agree that they definitely won that trade with Seattle. But Seattle gave up several first-round picks and a starting safety to get him. Can you really afford to lose him about a year or two later? Of course not. You had to sign him.
Yeah, I'm not. Where do you put him on the pantheon of safeties? Where is he? He's not the best safety, is he?
It also depends on how you define a safety, because safeties tend to be able to cover people, and he doesn't really cover anybody. He's very good at blitzing. He's very good at tackling, but he kind of reminds me a little bit. I'm not trying to insult Jamal Adams, because I think he's better, but he reminds me a lot of the way that Deion Buchanan used to play for Arizona, where he was the safety by trade, but they just put him in the box the entire time in this kind of hybrid position.
Kind of a Palomalu.
Kinda. Yeah, they just let him free roam around the field, and, we'll see what happens. But I don't think he's the best safety in the league. I think he's very talented, but he has a lot of flaws in his game, not to mention the fact that he also was pretty injury-prone last year. He's not worth the contract at all, but am I shocked Seattle paid him? No.
I think, personally, Minkah Fitzpatrick is the best safety.
I think he's great. I think he's better than Jamal Adams.
Oh yeah, no question at all. You could put Marcus Williams in there. You could put Harrison Smith in there. There's
Eddie Jackson, perhaps.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate that. There's a guy with the Jets, Marcus May, Scott, that I think is going to end up being a fine player.
I still don't know where to place Derwin James on the safety list, because he's so good, but he's never healthy, and it's such a shame because he's so good. But yeah, I think we're on the same page on this one. We both think Seattle's going to be a bit underwhelming this season, but they were between a rock and a hard place, and they chose to keep the guy.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, they did what they could. They were. I think his agent probably recognized the pickle they were in and took care of business. So congratulations. And Deshaun Watson, Scott, he's at camp, but he's not really at camp. He's there. He's not really participating. He's supposedly doing his own thing, but he's in camp. The coach says everything's fine. He's just on his own program. Are they trying to have their cake and eat it too? Are they waiting for the NFL to put him on the exempt list? What's Houston's game? They didn't He didn't play. He didn't travel for the last game. He's not going to play in this game. He's not going to travel for this game. What are they doing with him?
I'm not really sure. I guess you can kind of equate it to the situation going on with Bauer in the way that the Dodgers have placed him on administrative leave for about the 40th time. And you're just
Right.
wondering, can you just shut him down for the season already? Because we all know he's not going to play. But yet you're still going through this random charade, which doesn't really seem to serve a purpose. That's what I'm looking at with Houston. It seems like a massive distraction and a charade that doesn't really need to be taking place because we all know, whether you're a Texans fan, whether you are a football fan, or whether you just have any common sense, Watson's not going to play.
I don't see any way they can play him.
So I think they're wasting everybody's time. I don't know if you agree with my Bauer comparison, but of course they both had, I don't want to say similar issues off of the field, but there are definitely some similarities. But I just think that both teams have done such an awful job when it comes to just ripping the Band-Aid off completely and just saying, this guy's not going to play until this gets resolved. What's the point of dragging everybody through this? Well, he might play, but not really, but maybe.
Well, I'll tell you, there's a point with Bauer because they're getting a resolution right now.
Yes.
So that's a situation where if he's exonerated, then he's going to come back and play. But Deshaun Watson, they don't even start looking at things till January.
Yeah.
So this is the limbo that he's going to be in. There's going to be no adjudication. There's going to be no resolution of the situation with him until after the football season is over. So whatever the Texans are going to do, they got to do it. Make up your mind. And I'm sure they already have, like you said. I don't see from a PR standpoint any way they can let him play, Scott. I just don't see how they do it. And the other thing is, if they were a better team, do you think they'd be more tempted? If they were going to make a run this season, let's say if it was the Texans from two years ago that went to the playoffs and gave Kansas City a scare. If they're that team, does Watson start the season? Does he play?
Oh, it's a really tough question. I'm gonna hold my nose and say yes. It's mostly a situation because I like to preach consistency here, and I'm sure you would know that if I give an opinion on something, I usually stay with it. I'm not trying to sound stubborn, but I usually like to think out all my opinions before I say anything. I've said previously when we talked about Watson about a month ago that the most important priority when it comes to front offices is winning, and any type of personal baggage is secondary. I think you'd agree with that. I think that's why Greg Hardy got a second chance, why Michael Vick got numerous chances, etc. If they were competing for something and they still had J.J. Watt and they still had DeAndre Hopkins and they were still a really solid team,
Right.
I don't exactly think that Shaw is going to be your starting quarterback. Or is it Shaw or is it just Davis? I forgot the name of the rookie they drafted.
Doesn't matter.
Good point. Could be Tyrod Taylor. Doesn't matter.
It's probably going to be Tyrod Taylor.
Probably.
He's going to be your starter. But, yeah, get it together. Get it together, Houston. Figure out your problem. All right. All right, Scott. Man, we're talking about some unlikable characters here. I didn't really realize it was trending this way. Bryce and DeChambeau, Scott, going to go play the Ryder Cup team. Going to go play with Koepka and the rest of his pals. Is this guy, is he worth it? Is he good enough to bring, speaking of bringing baggage with him, would you say he's the most unliked guy on the tour?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. So, first of all, who's going to play with him? Who's going to play doubles with him?
Definitely not his caddy because he won't get through the entire 18.
Right. It's not going to be Koepka. And the other problem with DeChambeau is, besides being pretty much universally accepted, detestable human being, he's not going to get vaxxed, Scott. He already had to drop out of the Olympics because he had COVID. He came out and said that he didn't want to take a dose that could be used by somebody else. So are we all of a sudden running short of the vaccine, Scott? I know at the Garth Brooks concert, they set up a vaccine tent outside 77,000 people heading down into the show. You know how many people got vaccinated there, Scott? Want to take a guess?
5,000.
35.
Okay.
35 people, Scott.
I overshot that a bit.
Just a bit. Just a bit. So, and there was even a drawing to move up like to super tickets and 35. So what I'm saying to Mr. DeChambeau is there's plenty of vaccine, buddy. It's okay. We got a dose for you. So between that and, if he infects the team, is that going to be a problem, Scott?
I think it has to be. By the way, just quickly, I actually looked through the Texans depth chart because it was bothering me. It was Davis Mills. That was the name I was thinking of. I don't know why I said Shaw. But anyway.
Davis, wait a minute. Where is he from?
He was from, I believe it was Stanford, wasn't it?
Is that the Stanford kid? Okay.
Yes. That's why I got confused because
Yeah.
Shaw's the coach. Yeah, my bad. So that's where I got confused. But anyway, doesn't matter. He's never going to play. Anyway, going back to the point here with DeChambeau here. I do think that the personality that he possesses and I'd say, potential COVID outbreak concerns might make him a little bit untouchable in this event, because what even happens if the entire team ends up getting COVID? Do you just forfeit the Ryder Cup? What happens?
I'm guessing you do. I'm guessing you absolutely forfeit the Ryder Cup, and I think there's a little team chemistry involved here, Scott. Unlike a normal golf tournament, you've got the camaraderie, you've got the team, and Woods and Mickelson did not care for each other, and together when they both played on the Ryder Cup team, you think you'd have two very, very good guys there. That team would be unbeatable. They were 1-7 against Europe, Scott, in the 8 times they played together.
Yeah, you know what? Put DeChambeau with Patty Reed. Nobody likes Patty Reed either.
Oh, there you go. That'll be fun to watch. All right, real quick. Brett Favre did a PSA advising parents not to let their kids play tackle football before the age of 14. He did it for the CLF, the Concussion Legacy Foundation. They cited a 2019 study from Boston University that concluded for every 2.6 years of playing tackle football, the risk of CTE doubles. So in other words, someone that played tackle football for 14 and a half years, 10 times more likely to develop CTE than someone who had spent fewer years playing. Do you agree with this? Do you think that's a good plan to limit the youngsters playing tackle football?
Well, I think just common sense would be that in order for you to prevent serious concussions just throughout the entire person's livelihood or career, you got to limit the exposure. So I think if you're going to be starting kids later, then I do think that it would make natural sense. With less reps, you're less likely to get a ton of concussions. Now, of course, some of it's out of your control. All it takes is one hit in the right spot or the wrong spot in this case, and you end up getting it. But I think the issue we'd agree with is just how these concussions stack up on each other, and how every time you get an additional concussion, your side effects could get even worse, or just the rollover effect is going to be amplified. So I don't have an issue with this. I feel like you make an argument that if a person is a great athlete, then they'll find a way to be successful in football regardless. And reps might be important to some, but if you're talking about the safety of players and trying to increase their chances of going professional without jeopardizing their future livelihoods, let alone playing careers, I don't have an issue with this. You?
I do not. And I can tell you, I'm having a son. I've talked about him here before. He was a hell of a quarterback as a youngster, and I did not let him play tackle football till his seventh grade year. So even a little younger than 14 was the first time he played. And the good part about that is he developed skills being a flag football quarterback. He was very elusive, and elusive is not something Steehn men usually are. So it actually kind of helped him. It was a pass first league, of course. So I totally agree. Of course, all this CTE stuff kind of happened as he was playing. If I would have it to do over, I don't think I'd let him play at all, Scott. I don't think, at least until they got to high school, because the worst crack he ever took was him and another guy playing flag football diving for the ball at the goal line and cracked heads together. And of course, no helmets or anything like that. So I'm a big proponent of limiting the exposure of young kids. And the other reason is very hard to get the kids to use proper technique when it's game time. They can do it in practice. They can practice it and practice it. But when you go to make that hit, it's very easy just to dip that head down there and go crown to crown. Not a good situation. I applaud Brett Favre. It's a very powerful commercial. If you get a chance to see it, it's kind of sobering. And I highly recommend. If you have kids, yeah, just limit the exposure if you can. Get them to play flag ball. Get them to play get them to play something else because we know too much now. There's no more excuses.
I agree.
All right, that's it. We're going to come right back. As promised, Scott, we're going to delve into the college football season. We're going to start it off with Mac Attack and Conference USA, and we'll be right back to do that right after this message. Stay tuned, guys. Excellent.
Cool. Yeah, I realized right when we were doing the rocking chair segment that I didn't update those, so I went on the fly. I thought we handled it pretty well, though.
Yep. You got it in there just in time.
I was giving you a segue for the Rays so I could briefly type in the Braves under.
I saw what you were doing. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to have to stretch that out a little bit. So.
Yep, a little bit. But it worked itself out.
10 seconds.
Cool.
Where do you want to start?
Whichever conference you want. Dealer's choice.
All right, everybody. Hey, well, welcome back to the second half of Winners and Winers Radio. Give us an hour. We'll give you the winners. And we're getting ready to do that right now. Some of our favorite plays in college football, Scott. You know what? I feel like there's going to be more drama with the MAC. So let's start off with the CUSA, Conference USA, because this one, it's probably not quite as wide open, would you say?
I tend to find the CUSA relatively top-heavy when it comes to teams that are actually good enough to win the conference title game. So we can start there. Okay.
So we decided that what we're going to do is we're going to pick our favorite to win the league. We're going to pick a dark horse where there may be a little bit of value, and then we're going to give you our favorite win total team. We'll throw some other stuff in there as well. And yeah, let's get to it, Scott. So we'll start off with the Conference USA. This is a conference that has been dominated by pretty much the Marshall Thundering Herd for the last, decade or so, Scott.
Yes, but the last couple of years, UAB seems to have kind of just taken control.
There's been kind of some usurpers in, a couple of teams have had decent runs. FAU's had some decent teams. Louisiana Tech has had decent teams in the past. But for me, it's this UAB team because, for starters, the Marshall Thundering Herd, Scott, ended up losing 3 straight games. What'd they do?
They got rid of their coach.
Got rid of their coach. What? They got rid of Doc Holliday? Are you kidding me?
I like Doc Holliday. I think he's a good coach.
He was an incredible coach. What are you doing? What in the world? I guess there was a couple of donors, a couple of people at the school that didn't like him, and yeah, so he's gone. So I don't like Marshall in this spot, Scott. I like the UAB Blazers. They've got something that you don't see in this conference very often, Scott. They've got some tremendous defense. So I'm a big fan of UAB. And yourself?
I like UAB a lot too. However, I am going to give a brief shout out to UTSA. I know they've never actually appeared in the conference title game, but looking at how the team did last year and how many people they bring back, this team should be pretty good. Just looking at the Roadrunners here, they returned 10 starters on offense, 11 starters on defense. The entire defense is back from a team that went 7-5. Now, they do have a home game against UAB on November 20th, which should end up deciding the West Division. But they also have some coaching stability, same head coach, same offensive coordinator, and they also have a new defensive coordinator after some issues with the previous one. But I do like the amount of starters that they return. I'm still picking UAB, but I agree with you about Marshall. Having said that, Marshall, of course, is on the easier half because they're not in the same section as UAB and UTSA. So Marshall might be able to make it to the title game by default. But I do think whoever wins that November 20th game between UAB and UTSA should make the conference title game. Do you agree that those are probably the 2 best teams in the other division?
Yes, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but I do have the Roadrunners as my dark horse pick. And it's really, I don't know what you were able to find, because I know you found a lot of different prices, but there's really 3 co-favorites in this division. It's UAB, UTSA, and Marshall. Everybody else is double-digit dogs. So there really isn't an extremely dark horse. Scott, is there any of the others that you would even consider taking a flyer on?
I picked one. Would I take a flyer on him? No. But I do think that maybe if everything goes well, it's mostly fading Marshall, to be honest with you.
Right.
I looked at Florida Atlantic. I found 12-1 on FanDuel on Florida Atlantic. Now, do I trust Willie Taggart's team? No. But I think we both agree that Marshall, with a brand new head coach and the fact that their quarterback in Grant Wells, we don't exactly think is that good, which is a bit concerning because he was awful down the stretch.
He was.
Florida Atlantic, you can look at, and I know that the defense was very good last year, 24th best in the nation. They do return 10 starters, so they should be good defensively once again. Offensively, they were awful, but they bring back a new offensive coordinator, and they also bring in Nakasi Perry from Miami and Michael Johnson Jr., so maybe one of them can actually help them out offensively by being the quarterback they need. Plus, if you're looking at a game that they need to win, of course it's going to be the Marshall game. They do play Marshall at home, so that's also a pretty good scheduling spot there. Do I think they're realistically going to win the conference? No. But at 12-1, if you want to fade Marshall, I think Florida Atlantic's probably the second best team in that region? Question mark?
Yeah. No.
Fair enough.
No, I'm selling on FAU. This was a dreadful offense. Not just below average. They were awful. They were 115th in the country in scoring. They don't have a passing attack. Like you said, they're getting some help, but okay. I'll believe it when I see it. I'm not a Willie Taggart fan. They went down and they were just curb stomped by Memphis. The 5 teams they beat, Scott, won a combined 14 games. I think they were vastly overrated last season, and I've got them. Not only do I not like them to win the division, they are my favorite win total team. I've got them under 7.5.
I don't hate that, to be honest. But once again, I said that FAU is a team that I wouldn't really pick to make a serious run. But at 12-1, if you really think Marshall potentially implodes, then maybe you can take a sniff. But once again, we talked about it when we broke down the intro for the conference. It's a favorite-driven conference.
It really is. You know, if you want to know whether you have a good play on them to win either over 7.5 or make a run of the division, take a look at that week 1 game, or excuse me, that week 2 game against Georgia Southern. That'll tell you a lot about how competitive they're going to be with teams roughly of their own ilk.
For the record, sorry, I like UTSA potentially as a dark horse a lot more than Florida Atlantic. I just wasn't sure if I could count one of the 3 co-favorites basically as a dark horse, so that's why I ended up choosing to go. But if you could also include UTSA as a dark horse, they would have been my pick too.
Yeah, I like this team. I think they're a team that does a lot of stuff right. They run the ball well. Jeff Traylor is doing a nice job. Good Texas football coach there in high school, and he's been fantastic. I like one of the great names of all time, Sincere McCormick, Scott.
McCormick's good. Guy can run.
1,467 yards. Frank Harris, he's a lefty. I have an affinity for lefties, so yeah.
If he could stay healthy, of course.
That's always the question down there. So that's I think you and I are both kind of on UTSA. I did take the easy route, and I will give you credit because I couldn't find any other teams that outside of those 3 that I really cared for. So
I chose one. I chose one I still don't like, the one I chose.
Fair enough. All right. Well, and at least you're completely honest, because you were picking one from the dregs, and by very definition, one of them is going to be a bad team. So
yep.
All right, moving on to the MAC, Scott. What is we got? MACtion will be.
I didn't mention my favorite win total.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
So this is actually one of my favorite win totals on the board.
Oh, that's right. Oh, this is a good one because you found a unicorn, buddy.
I did. I like Old Dominion, and most of the books have them over under 3.5 wins.
Right.
FanDuel had 4.5 at -130 towards the under. I love the under 4.5.
Yep.
Now, Old Dominion did not play last year because of COVID. However, 2019, they were 1-11, 0-8 in conference play. Only win was against a Norfolk State. That's not an FBS team. And they only won by 3. Now, going through the actual schedule, they should be favored in 1 to 2 games all season. At home against Hampton, non-FBS team, and maybe at UTEP ? I don't know if they're even going to be favored in that game. They have former Penn State offensive coordinator Ricky Ron as the head coach. He's never been a head coach before.
Is his name Ricky Ron or Rick Iran?
Ricky space Rahan.
Okay, not Rick Iran.
No,
Ricky
but
Iran.
anyway, I guess the one positive they have is the fact that they did end up picking up UCF transfer quarterback DJ Mack Jr., who ended up taking over for Mackenzie Milton a couple years ago. Athletic quarterback, can run a lot. Very inconsistent passer, though. But this team with a brand new head coach, or a coach with really no head coaching experience at all, and a team that we would agree is going to struggle a lot out of conference, at Wake Forest, at home against Hampton, at Liberty versus Buffalo, you're 1-3 guaranteed, almost potentially going 0-4.
They're going to be favored in one game.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe at UTEP, maybe they'll be favored, but I potentially doubt it. 4.5's a joke. They might not even win 3 games.
Look ahead line has them as a 3.5 point dog to UTEP.
Yeah, so I love the under there.
Yeah, I'm not sure where I see 3 wins coming.
That's what I'm saying.
They've got Hampton. Okay, let's give them UTEP. And then where do we go? FIU maybe?
It's also at FIU, so it's not even a home game.
Yeah, they've got Louisiana Tech at home. I don't see it.
That's why it's one of my favorite win totals on the board.
Yeah, I think if you guys have access to 4.5, run, don't walk, get it down, because it ain't going to be 4.5 very long. Get that play down. Yep, I'm a big fan of that, and that's the kind of thing we put you to work for doing, finding those lines like that. So well done, my friend. Well done.
Thank you.
Indeed. All right. Well, you ready for some action?
Yep, let's do it.
I want some action, and I want to live. All right, I'll let you go first. What do you got?
So the favorite in this conference is Toledo at roughly plus 275. Ball State, defending champions, are second at plus 440. The MAC is crazy. You rarely see the same team win twice in a row. And I'm not picking Ball State. I'm picking Toledo. Now, Toledo is a team that's absolutely loaded. There's a little bit of quarterback uncertainty, though, because Eli Peters retired. I don't want to roast the guy after he retired because of injuries, but I was never a big Eli Peters fan at the quarterback position.
Wait. Did you say a college kid retired?
Yeah, he retired.
That's not a thing.
He had serious injuries. He quit his playing career.
Okay, but you don't retire at 20. I mean, I get it.
He retired from his playing career. That was the point I was trying to make.
I'm just busting your balls.
Fair enough. But anyway, Toledo returns all 5 starting offensive linemen, so I do think that'll help the new quarterback. They do have 10 Letterman returning on defense. Same head coach, same offensive coordinator, same defensive coordinator. It's very rare in the MAC you find a team that plays elite offense and elite defense and has decorated players all over the field. Toledo might be one of the best MAC teams I've seen on paper in several years.
Yep, agreed. They've got Carter Bradley that's going to take over the reins at quarterback. He was really good when he made one start last year against Central Michigan. I think he threw for like 430 or 440 yards. He was ridiculously good. And like you said, what I look for, Scott, one of the big things I look how many linemen are coming back, and they have 5 linemen coming back. So that's a pretty good number. That's a solid number. All your starting linemen are coming back. You've got Kobach coming back in the backfield, Winstead, Landers, Georgia transfer there. And yeah, like you said, then you talk about the defense. They are stacked on both sides of the ball. I'm with you. I wanted to go non-chalky here, but there's Toledo and all others.
I really like Ball State, though, on the side. I think Toledo's more talented. Ball State peaked at the right time last year because they won their last handful of games in a row. Then they smacked San Jose State in the bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really good team, and I do like Drew Plitt a lot at quarterback. So if you want to actually bet on both, I think those two teams will face off against each other in the conference title. Not in the conference title, but just in general. I think that both the teams should be in the running. I think one of them will make the conference title game. Do you have any thoughts on Buffalo?
Yeah, I do. Well, first of all, that Ball State Toledo game comes early, Scott. That comes on September the 25th. They're going to be the first conference game for both of those guys.
I misspoke. Of course, that's probably going to be an elimination game between Toledo and Ball State.
Do you like them that early?
Truth is, I think Toledo could hypothetically run the table. I think they're that. I think they're that good. But Ball State, I think that one game could be tough because I believe that's at Ball State, correct?
Yes.
So
Yes.
that could be a loss. But as a whole, I love that Toledo team. Buffalo, I have some question marks, of course, because they lost their coach. Leopold ended up going to Kansas. I wish him the best of luck. Many prayers to him. But Buffalo's made the conference title game 2 of the last 3 years. They always choke, but they still make it. Easier division. They should be better than Ohio and Kent State. They lost Patterson, but I love Marks Jr. as a running back. I think he's tremendous. I think they'll be fine. As a whole, though, do I really trust Linguist as the coach with no head coach or coordinator experience at the FBS level or above? No. But the rest of their division is so weak. Are you putting Buffalo in the title game?
No. Is Linguist cunning, by the way? Don't even do it.
I'm not going to bother answering that one.
All right. So yeah, the problem with the Buffalo team is they're not bringing many guys back. I do like Kevin Marks. I totally agree. I was happy to see him stay and see Patterson come out. I think he's a very, very solid player. I just don't know that they have enough horses. You know, Ball State really kind of exposed him in that title game and smacked him around a little bit.
Well, who are you picking in their division then?
Well, that's
I'm going with Buffalo by default because Ohio I'm not a big fan of, and you're looking at everything else. I think Kent State's entertaining.
I like that Ohio team. I would pick Kent State coming out of that. The problem with that Ohio team is, of course, Frank Solich retired.
Yeah.
So
it's not good.
No, and they've kind of let it pass them by. They're a good, solid. We're going to go to a bowl at 7-4 kind of team.
They have one of the 17 Rourke brothers still playing quarterback over there.
I think so. Yeah, they do. Yeah, I'm not sure I would book Kent State.
I love Kent State and Crum, but yeah, that defense is so bad.
That is the problem. That is absolutely the problem. So it'll be fun to see. Who's your sleeper?
My sleeper is technically Buffalo because I made a rule in my own head. My sleeper is going to be anything 8-1 or higher.
Okay.
I found Buffalo at plus 450 on Bet Online, but I found Buffalo at 10-1 on Fox Bet.
Yep.
I got to take 10-1 with that division. I mean, that division, Buffalo, even with all the uncertainty, is still probably the most talented team in that division. The question is if they can keep it together.
Right.
I think they'll be in the title game.
Yeah, I don't doubt that. The odds are in favor of that. And if you can get them the title game and you have 8-1, 10-1, whatever, I've got them at 8-1. That's
hit the eject button and hedge.
Right. That's the thing. And they were my sleeper pick. I mean, they're obviously not really a sleeper, but I couldn't pass up the odds at 8-1, which is kind of a curious thing after I just disparaged Buffalo, but I still recognize value. So
yep.
As far as my total plays, I like Northern Illinois over 4. It's a team that they bring, again, another team that brings back all 5 offensive linemen. And they've got Harrison Whaley coming back, but they've got Rocky Lombardi, who's a Michigan State transfer.
I can't believe you're trusting Lombardi.
You know what? Different system, new start. I'm willing to give him a pass.
Fair enough.
And as long as he can give me some passes for touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be an ugly beginning of the season. But I think they're going to be able to pick up some conference wins. I'll take NIU over 4.
Yeah, my win total is Toledo. I like Toledo over 8.5 at even money on FanDuel. They're playing 12 games. I think they'll be favored in at least 10 of them. They're playing at Notre Dame, which, of course, they're not going to win. They play at Ball State. I'm not sure who's going to be favored in that one, so I kind of have that up in the air. But they have the luxury of playing Akron, Bowling Green, UMass, and Norfolk State. I believe that's 4 free wins.
That's 4. That's 4 right there.
And I also love the fact of the most talented roster, and they have a lot of stability. Same head coach, same offensive coordinator, same defensive coordinators. I think that Toledo's going to roll. And when you have 4 free wins and you're already the most talented team in the conference, I think you'll find a way to win 9.
Do you have the nerve to play Bowling Green under 1.5?
I thought about it. It's all going to come down to, well, I don't even know if they're good enough to beat Murray State. That's a separate point. But it all comes down to that game against Akron.
Yep, as it so often does.
And I saw Akron, if that was at 2.5, I would have loved the under. That was a flat 2 everywhere. So whoever wins that game, probably goes over the win total or pushes. I got scared off because Akron's always bad. Bowling Green was historically bad. But if Dollar ends up having some injury issues there for Akron's backfield, they might not win a game. His health is crucial to that team.
It is. It is. They are definitely challenged on the defensive side of the ball for sure.
Yeah, so I got scared off. I'm going with Toledo. I just think they're the best team by far. I'll take them over in the win total.
Okay, very good. All right, well that's fun. We've kicked it off, buddy, and we've got 2 more tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to be taking a look at the Mountain West and the Sun Belt, so that'll be cool. We can talk about some of the changes that have going on out west. Talking about the Mountain West, or the Big 12 West, as I believe they'll soon be calling it. So
I'm rooting for San Jose State. Spoiler alert.
Quick reminder before we get into baseball, guys, you are listening to Winners and Whiners Radio. Give us an hour, and we'll give you the winners. Scott, let's get ready to deal some winners out here. Taking a look at the baseball card, we've got a few getaway games there on Wednesday afternoon that we won't be able to get to. But we do have a number of night games. Nice. I think we got 10 night games, so that's a good thing.
And what do we have, like 3 minutes to go through the 10 night games?
How about that? 2 minutes.
Cool.
2 minutes. So I was like, yeah, you got it ready to go?
Yeah, I like the Angels with Ohtani against Skubal. I know Skubal has been pretty good lately.
Okay.
Detroit's been a team that has been streaky at times, but every now and then they remind us, oh, yeah, that's why you're supposed to be terrible this season. Angels killed them yesterday. Ohtani's been phenomenal on the mound. I'm going with the Angels just because this team can consistently score. I can't say the same about Detroit, and they also burned a lot of their very good relievers in the 9th inning yesterday. I think that's concerning. I'll go with the Angels. You?
I like that. I think that's a solid play. And people forget how good Ohtani's been on the mound because he's been so good with the bat in his hand, but he's been outstanding. He's really made just one bad start, and that was when we backed him.
They won anyway.
No, that was the game against the Yankees.
Yeah, I thought that was the rain delay game. They won.
No, where he gave up like 7 runs in the first 2/3 of an inning.
Yeah, then you had the 3-hour rain delay, and they won.
Did they win that one?
They won that one. Anyway, it's not really important.
We was at first 5 on it because I know he screwed us. So
anyway, you can go on your game that you like.
Yeah, I've got to fade Luzardo. I've got to take the Braves. A little pricey there. Give me a team total over. I think we're going to get 4.5 juiced over there probably.
I saw -110 on BetMGM.
So 4.5.
Yep.
God bless you, BetMGM. Yes, sign me up for that.
Yep, I agree.
I think that's a fine play.
I got to be tempted by the Giants. It's about -140. The Mets can't win a game.
Okay.
I don't trust DeSclafani that much. I'll admit that, but damn, the Mets are bad.
Are we just ignoring the elephant in the room? Is there any way to not take Tampa Bay?
I saw it was at -160 on the run line.
Yeah.
I think Watkins is terrible. So take Tampa team total over. Take whatever you want.
Luis Head on the mound.
Yeah, I don't know much about him, so I'll take the over on team total for Tampa because I know Watkins is bad.
All righty, Scott. Well, yeah. Anything else stand out to you real quick?
For the most part, no, not really. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
I'm anxious to see how Lynn does against the A's. I think I'm going to stay away from that game. He was a little shaky there at the Field of Dreams.
I hope Bassett's okay, by the way.
What's that?
I hope Bassett's okay, by the way.
I do too. Do we have an update on that?
Not that I know of, but it didn't look good.
It reminds me of the kid for Tampa Bay that Hosmer hit a few years back.
Yeah, I forgot his name, though.
Bounced around the league ever since then. So, All right, Scott. Well, it is time. We have reached the end of the show, and we are going to put our heads together, come up with our favorite play of the day. It is time to climb on that tractor, strap up your overalls, get on that straw hat, and bet the farm.
So the Bet the Farm play for today is going to be on the Red Sox team total over 4.5 runs at -130 on BetMGM. The Red Sox have scored at least 6 runs in 3 of their last 5 games, and Andrew Heaney is on the mound for New York.
Mr. Heaney.
He's not good. Last 3 starts, 15 innings pitched, 9 flat ERA, and it's a home game for Heaney because he's now a Yankees pitcher. The only problem with that,
good, right?
yeah, he stinks at Yankee Stadium because he's pitched 13 innings, 10.38 ERA. I know Boston struggled in the series. Yankees officially passed them in the loss column in the wild card standings, but this Red Sox team is still extremely talented at the plate. Bunch of talented righty hitters. They kill lefties. And Heaney is a fly ball pitcher in Yankee Stadium. That's not going to go well against this team.
So you want no part of Pivetta, right?
No, I don't want any part of Pivetta. Give me the team total over for Boston. I think they'll get at least 5. And also the Yankees bullpen doubleheader. They used a decent amount of guys yesterday. You might see a couple of secondary options there.
Yeah, and Heaney might also have to wear this one for a while too.
Correct.
If he gets hammered and gives up 3 or 4 in the first couple innings, he may have to wear the hat there for a minute. So yep. I think that's a very solid bet the farm play. Give us the Boston Red Sox fading Andrew Heaney over a 4.5 at, what'd you say, minus 130?
Yep.
At BetMGM?
Yep.
Very good. Very good. All right, guys. Well, that's going to bring it to a close for this Wednesday version of Winners and Winers Radio. Of course, we always appreciate you listening. If you're watching this on the YouTube, hey, drop us a comment, like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Don't forget we're available wherever podcasts are sold, so make sure you check us out on your favorite podcast platform, whether that's going to be Apple, iTunes, or Spotify, or, well, you know what they are. So
Anchor.
That's right. Don't forget to check Anchor down, everybody. So for myself, for Scott Reichel, for the whole team over here at winnersandwiners.com, thanks very much for being part of the show today. And we will see you tomorrow on Winners and Winers Radio. Take care, everybody.